Oh, we're good. We're here. Hello,
Nice.
everybody. Josh is quiet. I can't hear you.
Oh no,
I
Chesh
can't
is
hear you.
quiet again.
Oh
Josh is quiet.
no!
Oh, there you go.
Hi!
Quiet.
Hello everybody. I'm really tired. You guys are gonna have to carry me today. I slept for
Why are you
2
tired?
hours. I'm tiny. It's okay. You just put me in the pocket. It's fine. Welcome back
Why
to
did you
Living with
sleep 2 hours?
Philosophy. Why did I only sleep for 2 hours?
Yeah.
It
I don't
happens.
fucking know.
Oh, just insomnia.
Something to do with my physiology, probably. Allegedly.
Oh, women's problems. Yeah.
Also that. Probably.
Yeah.
That's probably
Yeah.
actually related.
Women's problems. Yeah. Not allowed to say that, of course, but yeah, we all know.
Oh yeah, I hear that's politically incorrect.
Yeah, that explains the fucking attitude you've been given as well. So shitty attitude you've been thrown at us last to the green room.
True. It's true. It's not even a lie.
But it doesn't explain my shitty attitude because it's not.
Everything
my
is fine. I'm fine. Everything's on fire. This is fine.
Fine.
I lit the fire.
If you like, why not? It's like, oh, okay.
All right, welcome to Living with Philosophy. This is our once a month show where we do philosophy type things. We're gonna have to be going into the fallacies soon because the debates have been starting up a little bit heftier.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to go into those in a little bit more philosophical rhetoric in the near future. But today we're on part 2 of talking about legal philosophy.
Stuff. Yeah.
Legal type stuff and things, but you two are gonna have to carry me through this. So I know
Okay,
Barry
fun.
definitely has, like, the one time Barry prepared himself or some
I
shit.
didn't prepare. I literally ran around my house about 10 minutes before I came on, and I just grabbed a load of books. But Paleo Phil knows I wanted to talk about this one, but I really have nothing more than one sentence to say about it. So
Also, we have emojis now. The emojis
Cool.
that are currently on the channel are the Debate Hub logo. We have the brick.
Wait, what?
The brick.
We have 2 dumpster fires. There's an angry dumpster fire and a super cute dumpster fire. So, like, depending on your mood. Hello, yeah, we have. This channel has reached monetization right now. The only monetization that it actually gets, though, I can't roll, like, ads and stuff properly right now. Basically, it's memberships and I believe super chats and super chat goals I can do. So if you want to help support the channel, you can do those things and do memberships and stuff, and you get a lot of stuff. I actually just put a post up because if you are a member, you get access to sort of the stuff I'm working on in the background and sort of some of the scheduling information. And I just made a post that's so obnoxiously long. Like, I haven't written a post this long. It is 2 sizable paragraphs and a couple of smaller paragraphs where it's just like scheduling and behind the scenes stuff. So if you want to know what's going on behind the scenes and who's getting contacted and what debates are done, the line and the pipeline and yada yada yada, if you want me to just spill the beans right now, I can, because I'll just tell people.
No, make them read.
Bro, I tricked an Egyptologist into watching The Mummy with me.
Oh
That's
my
funny.
god.
That is
Yes. Isn't that great?
funny. Yeah, that's funny. It's like
I'm
making
excited.
an expert on Romanian history watch Dracula with you. Fucking
Yes,
brilliant.
it's exactly what that is. That is exact. Not only have you figured out my evil plan, and how dare you spoil it for everybody, but I am, 1, very, very excited to do that. 2, I've also been working on getting basically the equivalent of TED Talks, but with, like, a little bit more loosey-goosey rules, because this is Debate Hub and we're kind of allowed to do whatever we want. So I've just finished recording, just this last Thursday, I finished recording with Landon. And he did a talk on the moons of Jupiter and, like, their orbits, which is super interesting. That
That's
same
really
Egyptologist is coming on. Dapper is currently picking his topic. Mani is going to do a topic. So if either of you want to do a topic, there are 2 avenues you can do. You can either do one that you have education in, and like lean on that and lean into that, or you can go the other avenue where you're like, hey, I'm a hobbyist at this, but I'm so much of a hobbyist at this that I have, like, an unofficial, like, I know what I'm talking about.
Unofficial note of talking hobbyist, 5 ideas already. How long do they have to be?
Yeah. I'm just a hobby.
Between if you can get them between 1 hour to an hour and a half, that's perfect. If you need it to be longer, then it needs to be split into 2 parts.
And are you going to be there while I'm doing it?
You generally, the way I've done it so far is that I'm in the background. You do, like, a little presentation with whatever PowerPoint you want to have,
Sure.
and I'll do the recording and editing, so you don't have to worry about any of that shit.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, many. And this is also open to people in the chat. If you have something that you do that you want to talk about, or something that you're a hobbyist in and you want to talk about it, come share with me your autism.
All right, you didn't have to put it like that.
Wasn't I being a bitch earlier, Barry?
You made fun of me and my autism and all my little autism tics. You're mocking me openly. That's a lie, by the way. Just we're doing the same bit we were doing a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Jeff never mocked me for anything.
We brought it back around. We brought it back. All right, tell us about your books, Barry. You got a bunch of books about legal stuff.
Oh,
Let's get into our actual show instead of me just fucking being excited about the channel.
Smitty there says, Barry, you have to argue for the position that the pyramids were built by Hebrew slaves before the Exodus. And I think that's a much better attempt. It'd be much easier to do that than to argue that they built it after the Exodus. Okay, here we go. First one I want to talk about. Right. This is the Republic, right? Which is the first kind of comprehensive attempt to put together what a society might look like, including the justice, right? Now, the idea is that if you want your society to have something beyond subsistence, in other words, you're going to store up stuff, you're going to have guards, right? Guardians. And much is made in this book of how to handle the guardians, and basically they've decided at the end of it. You've read this, I assume, yes?
Like bits and pieces of it.
Bits and pieces are all you need. You don't need to read the whole thing. Yep. They basically said you have to lie to the guardians and feed them a constant diet of bullshit, otherwise they will take over. And the people in charge, at the end of this very long book, right, and this long dialogue and treatise, Plato comes to the very enlightening conclusion that the people in charge should all be philosophers. Right, and I think that's probably a mistake we've all made at some point of saying, well, maybe someone like me should be in charge, right? And he doesn't. He appears completely blind to that.
I don't think that is. If there was a mistake that I haven't made, it is ever thinking I should ever be in charge of anything. Oh, and weirdly enough, if you watch me playing TTRPGs, you watch me hosting these kinds of shows, you see me hosting like on other people's channels, I accidentally end up being the adult in the room more often than not.
Okay.
And it's terrifying.
The punchline on this is that Plato...
Sorry. You can go.
Sorry, I'll tell you in a second. The punchline of this is that Plato in real life hired himself out as an advisor to the tyrant of Syracuse, which is over in Siracusa in Sicily. And he did so badly that he got fucked, he got beaten the shit out of and bounced down to slave. He was turned into a slave, and his friends had to smuggle him back into Greece where he was a regular guy again. So his theory didn't work, basically. But it's very interesting because it's an attempt. It's a first networked attempt to try and put something together. Well, how are we going to have justice as a society and freedom and democracy and so on? Sorry, off you go there. You were saying something, and I interrupted you.
Usually the people that are best leaders are the people that don't want to be. You know, they get shoved into that job. You know.
Are heroes born, or are they made through circumstance?
That's something they actually talk about in this book. One of his little friends says the only people who really should be running the place are people who don't want to do it. And Socrates beats him into the ground for saying something like that. He thinks because a philosopher king would have to want to be in charge. I agree with you, because I think also the only worthwhile people to be in charge are people who don't want it. You have to drag them into it.
I think there needs to be a little bit of balance, because I think you need somebody who has like a passion for that kind of management, somebody who's good at it, but also somebody who doesn't necessarily really want to do somebody who's like, there's a lot of responsibility here, and I'm going to have to do extra work to ensure that that's going to work, so I'm not really into it, but I do like the nitty-gritty parts.
Yeah, the reason they don't want to do it isn't because they're incompetent, it's because they know too much about what it would entail.
Right, yeah.
Right, cool. We can do that.
They care about the consequences, too, you know.
Right.
Oh, consequences. God, you're so mother. Right. This is another book called Republic, which is clearly based on the title of Plato's book. Plato's book is not the Republic, by the way. His title was something like polite, meaning a city-state and how to run it properly. The title of this is in fact the Republic, but Republic, Latin res publica, just means the public thing. It doesn't mean a type of country. What he means is like a form of government. This is in bits. We only have bits of it, and all the bits are collected into this delightful volume. And I'm going to read out very quickly a little bit of it, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
No.
This is from
I
Cicero.
didn't realize you were seriously asking.
It's a rhetorical question.
So I'm going to read it if you're okay with that. So anyway.
Well, in 50 BC, this was written in 50 BC, and he said, "But if I wish to describe the conceptions of justice and the principles, customs, and habits which have existed, I could show you not merely differences in all the different nations, but there have been 1,000 changes in a single city, even our own, in regard to these things. For example, our friend Manilius here, Manilius, hello, being an interpreter of the law, would give you different advice about the rights of women in regard to legacies and inheritances from that which he used to give in his youth before the passage of the Voconian law. In fact, that law, passed for men's advantage, is full of injustice to women, for why should a woman not have money of her own? Why may a Vestal virgin have an heir while her mother may not? Why, on the other hand, is it necessary to limit the amount of property a woman can own? Should the daughter of Publius Crassus, if she were her father's only child, be permitted by law to have 100 million sesterces, while mine is not even allowed 3 million? Right? These are all very good questions, Cicero, in 50 BC, that we could still be asking very, very recently, I think. Right? Good stuff. But he's asking the right questions. His answers obviously are shitty, but he's asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Anything to say about that? Paleo Phil? Shesh?
I think things sometimes. I agree that he's asking the right questions. I think that we're already a little bit, I don't know, but were they trying to build a like, what kind of government were they building at this part? Was this the kingship?
He's talking about the Republic, the Roman Republic.
Oh, the Roman Republic. Okay. So yeah, in that regard, it's one of those things where it's like, do you want a philosopher king? Do you want a republic of what? And of whomst? And like, if you have a bunch of philosophers, I mean, great.
You have to be careful.
Right?
You have to be very careful what he said, because Augustus was in charge, so you have to be very careful how he phrased these things.
Oh, okay, fair.
He's still asking the right questions, you know?
Yeah.
Next, I have this. I assume this doesn't require any conversation or anything. Does anybody want to talk about it? Jesh, anything to say about it? I'm just showing it to you because it's interesting and has a very interesting vision of justice. I'm serious. I think it's great. Any questions, or are we good with that? With next one?
Yeah.
No, we don't need it. I know.
We're good.
Sorry about the point you were there. Then we have this one, Theory of Justice by John Rawls. There's too many pages in that book. But,
yeah, it's too many.
For anybody who is curious and wants to get or go to their local library and find these books, I will ask Barry to send me a list after the stream is over, and I will put it in the description of the video.
Idiot boy here just buys them. Okay, so the idea is, if you're going to put together the rules of a society, I'll just read it out. No one knows his place in society, his class position or social status, nor does anyone know his fortune in the distribution of natural assets and abilities, his intelligence, strength, and so on. I shall even assume that the parties do not know their conceptions of the good or their special psychological propensities. The principles of justice are chosen behind a veil of ignorance, right? And according to Rawls, ignorance of such details enables the isolation of principles around which a structure of a fair society can be agreed upon. To me, that makes sense. Now, unfortunately, it does commit the error of let's start from a position that nobody's ever in, meaning a blank slate. No one's ever tabula rasa, except with the possible exception of Pol Pot in 1975, and that did not go well for Cambodia. But apart from that, generally, we don't have a tabula rasa. We have to deal with a legacy system. Like if a new guy takes over, you're generally using the same civil service that you had before. And sometimes even if there's a revolution, you still have a certain, and that's where Pol Pot went wrong. Because when the Vietnamese came over and tried to install a different government, all the people who knew how to work the system worked were dead. All the people who knew how to work, not computers, but whatever.
You can't just reinvent the wheel every time you have a
so the Vietnamese
guy
had to
in
run
power.
the country by proxy. They had to send in their own guys, and then the UN said, well, what you're running there is an occupation. And they're like, yeah, well, I mean, I know, but like, what are we going to do? Anyway.
What do you want us to do about that? I mean, it's kind of by happenstance. Oops.
Yeah. But I think that the principle is good. If you're going to write a law, you should have to have a veil of ignorance and not know where you're going to fit. And that would eliminate so much stupid shit all over the world. If you didn't know whether you're going to be poor or rich at the end of that law, you know?
Yeah, it's also like difficult to do though, as like a lawmaker
because you don't start in that position. Yeah, no one starts from tabula rasa. But as a philosophical exercise, it's great.
I just wonder if, I think as a society, it's a good exercise to do regularly, even when you're younger or whenever you're studying law, if you think there's anything that needs to change, and then society can move towards making those changes. But also, I don't know how you could, if it would be possible to build that into the system. Like if there was like a check and balance whenever a law was being made. From an existing system. You'd have to, like, if it's applicable now. Yeah. It's
going to be very difficult, But I like the idea. A big fan of the idea. Sometimes I like ideas. You know, I'm a complicated guy. And then there's this. which is not, you'll notice this does not say discipline and punish on it. It says power and knowledge, because I couldn't find my copy of discipline and punish, but I want discipline and punish, right? Now, Michel Foucault, the French philosopher, had a very interesting approach to justice. He didn't think justice was like I guess most of us think of it. He was a postmodernist, so he threw out all these ideas. He didn't think of justice as an objective kind of a thing that we're moving towards as a society. And the more we go on, the more we're getting towards this idea of justice, which is the general conception, I think, of it. He felt justice was a political tool specifically invented to create structures and maintain social order and class interests. And he said things like courts and prisons and so on were not so much about punishing or disciplining or even rehabilitating people, but just enforcing these class-based laws in industrial capitalist societies. And I get where he's coming from with that. It sounds bizarre, like when you say it out loud, but I kind of get where he's coming from. In that case, justice doesn't mean anything at all except what the government in charge wants it to mean as a way of controlling people. And this, where you notice this, especially as in colonial societies, like you'll see like somewhere like Belgium went into the Congo and said, oh, look what we did. We gave you a whole transport network. We give you trains. But if you look at the train system, all the train lines in the Congo, literally 100% of them in 1912 went straight from the resource-rich areas to the nearest port. And they say, look, we gave you a court system. You guys were balubas beforehand. You were just jumping around the jungle, right? We give you a court system of laws. The law system in the Congo at the time was only used to enforce the colony, the colonial order. So if a guy was going off message or whatever, they'd cut off his hands. That's the justice. But they'll say, oh, look, that's our justice. Our justice is here just to enforce the order of the society you live in, whether you want to or not. And I think what Foucault is getting at.
Is it even that different than some of the memes about America bringing freedom to the rest of the world, which is not a very good application of what seemed to be their original intention, assuming we give them charity and say that the initial intention was a decent one and it was about bringing democracy.
They can't even bring freedom to America.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're good at it.
Yeah. No, I don't even think they have that ideal. I mean, the people at the top know what they're doing is not spreading freedom and democracy.
Oh yeah, they know.
Right.
Like I'm writing a thing about Iran now for the next thing I'm doing with Seamus. And those guys at the top were told by the CIA exactly what was going on in Iran, and they still said the opposite. They still said these Iranians are evil and they're killing people and so on. And they knew it was a lie because the CIA fucking told them in a report that has been released since. So spreading freedom and democracy, my hole.
Well, I mean, I remember from our conversation about Guatemala.
Yeah, same thing. Exactly. Yeah, they knew.
And Venezuela.
Yeah, they knew. Guatemala. And Venezuela. They knew in Venezuela. They knew in Venezuela
Vietnam,
in the 1980s. You know
Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I just picked an example because I was working on it now.
And
that's fair
not
enough.
America,
all of them.
Falkland Islands too.
It's not. Well, and I don't want to just unfairly pick on the United States. They're not the only ones doing this. They're just very prevalent at the moment and have one of the largest militaries on the planet at the moment.
France and England were very, very good at it too, but the podcast we work on doesn't talk about France and England. But France and England were geniuses at that. France did it in much of the Middle East, and so did England. And France did a real number on Algeria that I'm sad I will never be able to get to talk about because it's nothing to do with the FBI or the CIA.
You can do it here if you want.
Hey!
The whole point of that kind of structure now is just to maintain free trade across our waters,
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a resource thing. Again,
if a regime is described as if a country is described as unstable, what they mean is we're not able to get the resources out efficiently enough.
Yeah.
Right. What is where does Spain fall in there? Out of curiosity, France, England. Was Spain also quite?
Spanish Empire kind of fell apart before 1819,
and then got destroyed by what is it? I don't know what empire that was back then, but they got taken over by a Muslim empire at that point, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's before. That's let's say about 1000-ish AD. The Muslims took over Spain, and then they got kicked out again in 1492. Funnily enough, was the last Muslim got thrown out of Spain, And it's funny because that's the
Same
same year
year.
as, yeah. But
Yeah.
what happened was Spanish Christians had developed this. They took over Spain from the Muslims, slice by slice by slice, moving south mile by mile by mile. And if you look at the maps over time, it literally is that slow. Over 400 years, they took the country back, right, from the Muslims like that. And when they finally took over the whole country, then they found America. So their whole psychology had been take over, kill the infidels, kill the infidels, right? And they took that whole psychology over to Mexico, and it did exactly the same thing. If you look at the map of Mexico, like this is Spanish control. But when I said, but the Spanish Empire fell apart in around about 1898 when they lost a war against America. They lost the Philippines. They lost Cuba. There was a whole embarrassing thing, and they just gave up. So they were done.
I feel like there's also like a America could do one of those. I learned it from you, Dad.
Reconquista, Reconquista is correct. Yeah, Krakatoon there, and low energy videos 4658, if that's even your real name. Sorry, Paleo Phil. Also, I know the last time we spoke about this, Paleo Phil, and I said I had some books, and you agreed with the book choices I made. You mentioned some other books that I did not include. Do you remember any of them now? Do you want to talk about them now?
No, I do not at all.
Oh,
I
sorry.
do
I was
not
interested.
at
I said,
all.
oh, that would be interesting when we get, because this is so long ago we were talking about it, because I think
It
I had
was
to brush
it was like 2 months ago. Yeah.
I had a cold, and I wasn't like incredibly sick, but there's no way I could be in camera because I'm already sniffing like fucking all the time. You'd imagine if I had a cold and I was streaming and my voice was fucked, and I said I can't be doing that to the good people of Cheshire's podcast. So
You definitely
Yeah,
can.
I was more prepared in April than I was now. Like I'm just like
I'm sorry.
right now.
That's my fault. Yeah. I remember saying, "Oh, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to hear what Paleo Phil has to say," and now it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's fucked. It's gone. Fuck
Gone
it.
forever.
Yeah. All right, no worries.
Lost.
Yeah.
Lost to the void.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry.
Was that? Do you have another
That's
book?
the book
or is
section's
that...
finished. Now we can move on to to the
How-
third section.
How many books was it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Five.
It's Plato's Republic. Cicero's also Republic, which is kind of a joke. Marx and Engels' Communist Manifesto, which we didn't discuss. Why would we bother? A Theory of Justice by John Rawls, and Foucault. Not this one. Discipline and Punish by Foucault. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So let's discipline and punishment.
Yeah.
As a philosophical usage for imposing, because a lot of government is just literally imposing power on other people, like to a degree, as much as there's like conspiracy theories out there, yada yada yada, and some of them are true and some of them are blown out of proportion and some of them are just flat out wrong. The government does have to control its people to some degree
Sure.
to maintain society.
People say that
Foucault's argument was
government.
that was the function of it,
Right.
Yeah.
but that nobody
People
said
say
that
that-
before.
Oh,
Sorry, go on, go.
Is it
I'm on a delay. I know.
I know. No, I am too. So no, people say that government's like whole point is to monopolize like violence and force, basically.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people say that. That's like a generic thing.
Well,
So-
no, it was Max Weber said that, or Emile Durkheim, one of those guys said that, a sociologist.
Emile
He defined
Durkheim,
the
yeah.
state. Yeah, as he did this as en passant almost, not like trying to make a point or anything. He just thought it was apodictic. He said, "Oh, the state. How do we define the state? Oh, the state is just whoever has the monopoly in violence." You know, blowing open in a whole new
Yeah,
field
he
of
was just
study.
being flippant, and then everybody went, "Oh
No,
my god!"
The problem is that he's a sociologist, so like
Yes.
they're like, holy shit, he's right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think, well, and the problem doesn't really come with whether or not the government is in control of people to a degree. It's at what degree and in what way, right? How is it enforcing its power? Is it through oppression? Is it through violence? Is it through, and at what point is violence okay? And when does violence become not okay? Because, I mean, that seems to be an ongoing conversation, because
Foucault
I
would
don't think
argue
there's
it's
a right
always through
answer.
oppression.
Sorry?
Foucault would argue it's always through oppression. Even if people think they're signing up to it, they themselves are being oppressed by their own place in the system. Would be his argument.
I think I might agree with there's always going to be some oppression happening overall, because
By
that's how you...
design.
Yeah, by design, because that's how you
Yeah.
have a society. You know the
Yeah, we're
meme,
not-
we live in a
no,
society? Yeah, that's what
guess-
it is.
Sometimes
Societal
we tell you
oppression.
it's a
No way.
regrettable consequence. But Foucault's argument is it's not a regrettable consequence. It's hard baked into the concept of what it means to be a nation state.
I think it might just be hard baked into being a society.
Mhm. You have
Maybe,
to suppress
yeah.
yourself to a degree, you know.
Suppress
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Prixie Purple just joined at Amateur Debater. Thank you very much, Prixie. Enjoy the additional content. There's like 6 videos that are in the can right now that you can go and watch.
You 6 done already?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well done.
I have so much editing to do. I might have to take a whole week off of streaming just to catch up on editing. I have a lot to do right now.
You can get a guy in India to do that for like $5 an hour. You know that.
I would hire Egghead if I could afford it. But I think that if we're gonna agree that it's baked into the system as it is there even a way to do a system that doesn't? I don't think I don't think that's the case. Not with people.
He offers no solutions. He's just analyzing the problem.
Right. Well, I'm asking if you guys think there's any solutions.
I mean, look at what happens in kindergarten. Like what we do as children. Like we're already trying to organize some sort of system between the children, and what's acceptable. So it's like we kind of do that just at scale all the time.
Yeah. I mean, formalized education is sort of as much as it could be weaponized really, really badly, there is a degree of oppression just participating in school and events.
Right? I don't mean like with the teachers involved. I mean just like imagine an actual kindergarten of children. Just you lock them in a room, not lock them, but like they're just doing their thing amongst themselves. Like eventually something's gonna manifest as order.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Now wait a second. Now Lord of the Flies, I think, is horribly misunderstood. The people think the Lord of the Flies is about, look what happens when you let a bunch of kids on their own. That's not the point of that book at all. The point of that book is that those kids are products of a colonial English empire.
Mindset,
and it's frequently underlined that they're imperial colonial kids. And they set up, they just emulate what they see the adults doing. And this thing in Lord of the Flies is, the theme of it is kind of betrayed in the final paragraph. If you read the very last paragraph of the book, the guy who rescues him, he's dressed in an army uniform, and he looks out at the cruiser sitting in the sea, and he kind of just sighs. He's kind of, okay.
I'm doing the exact same thing that these kids were doing.
I'm doing exactly the same thing these kids were doing, right? So it's not that like if you leave kids on their own, sometimes if you leave a bunch of kids on their own, they'll be fine. They don't descend into disorder in real life. They tend not to. They tend to get more cooperative. You get a few Egypts, but basically they tend to be quite cooperative, especially if there's girls there. But when the Lord of the Flies, these guys were in particular. That's the research, man. I'm not trying to be sexist.
I know. I am not. That wasn't at you. That was at We Live in Society.
in particular, he was explaining that these kids were reflecting the values of. He's basically saying to the people who lived in his country, look at your values. They're fucking awful.
Yeah.
He's not trying to say kids, if they're let on their own, will go mad. He's saying your values are awful because look what you've produced. And I think that people miss that whole thing. I think
My Unfinished Journey for Success said, Hail Nero, Gabo, and her philosophy hounds. Oh, congratulations, you've been promoted. And hail monetization. Thank you very much, greatly appreciate it.
Well done, by the way.
Thank you. I can't even take credit for it. It was like with like the help of both you guys and Dapper and FTFE and MC Toon and like the people who are willing to come on, Dr. Kip, that are willing to like engage and have these kinds of conversations.
I'm grateful to the people that watch this all the time. That's what it really brought this to. So
yeah, I also really like this show. I like doing this. It's a fun exercise.
Have you read Crime and Punishment?
Oh yeah, many times.
Okay. What is there anything that we can add from that to this?
There is. If you've ever seen an episode of Columbo, that's what you can learn from Crime and Punishment. The cop, you've obviously read it. The cop in Crime and Punishment is a genius. He knows that Raskolnikov killed the guy, but he also knows he has no evidence. He can't prove it. So what he does is he just follows him around. And he follows him around everywhere Raskolnikov goes. There's this motherfucker, Porfirovich, sitting there, the cop, waiting for something to go wrong. Eventually, Raskolnikov loses his goddamn mind, has a mental breakdown, and the first face he sees when he wakes up out of the bed is... Did you just ask me to be quiet?
No.
Oh, sorry. The first guy he sees when he wakes up out of the delirium is Porfirovich, the cop. And the cop's saying, I'm glad you came out of the delirium. And he says, you were really raving in your sleep. He says, you were talking all sorts of things in your sleep. And he's like, oh, no! So I don't know if that has any...
This really makes me want to get Barry to watch and live react to Death Note.
Oh my god, yes. That's basically it. That's basically
you read the book. Wonderful.
Yes. I've read the comic.
Wonderful.
Somebody No, Sherlock Holmes' house before house. Columbo is Raskolnikov, or the other cop, Porfirovich. Somebody said Crime and Punishment is not boring, and anybody could think it's boring. The first chapter of it, he kills an old lady with the back of a hatchet. Like, how much more exciting do you want it to be? The rest of it's kind of a slow burn, but sometimes they are slow burns. Also, House was based on Sherlock Holmes. That's why he's called House. And his little friend is called Wilson instead of Watson. And he lives at 221 Baker Street. So there's all the hints for you, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of different... Okay, do you guys have a favorite Sherlock Holmes iteration? I do.
I like Psych. I like Sean Spencer and Psych.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
The Canadian show.
What's it called? The guy who played Saruman also played Sherlock Holmes back in the day, by the way.
Christopher Lee.
Did he do it as a comedy or as a straight?
He put his heart into that, whatever it was. So,
do you have a favorite, Opie, or no?
I would say I like Cumberbatch's.
Cumberbatch's take is good. My favorite is The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No,
He's great.
the whole in his labs like section was perfect for that. So yeah.
Yeah, they also did a good job of having Cumberbatch still be like likable enough, but still not playing off that he's like Sherlock Holmes is an asshole. He sucks as a person.
He's kind of unlikable in the books. He's deeply unlikable in the books, and I think that's where Gregory House gets it right. House in the show is very unlikable. He doesn't seem to have any redeeming features whatsoever. He's incredibly mean to everybody around him. His only thing is that he's really good at what he does.
Yep.
That's the only reason anybody, and people love him. Like, I literally fall in love with him. Just because he's really good at this one, because it's not because he's nice to them, you know?
Yeah. Basil of Baker Street. Yeah. I didn't like the show House very much. I found it really repetitive.
Oh, I love it. I love knowing exactly how things are going to happen.
I don't mind watching it. So I can't sit down and like watch lots of episodes. I can watch like an episode here or there, and I find it entertaining, but I can't like sit down and watch like the
series where he comes up. He quits Vicodin. Did you see the series where he came off the Vicodin?
Yeah, I saw some of that.
That's interesting to see how he handles things without any painkillers. Like, he's still a dick, but he's a lot more kind of balanced, and it's very interesting how he acts it.
Radigan is amazing.
Radigan is crazy, yeah.
But back to what we were talking about. Where do you think vigilante justice falls into this scenario?
Okay.
That's a big question.
You mean like one guy, or like as a general concept? Do you mean like a Batman character, or do you mean just like a general concept?
Mob rule, or
mob rule, or Batman?
Yeah, well, I think we should do both. Because I think they're
personal
different answers.
Or and then the other thing is personal, or you're a bystander and you witness something happening. You know.
Let's call it personal.
Okay, personal is probably more acceptable than the bystander stuff. Like, I don't know if. I guess one of them is Gary, the father that killed his son's molester, coming out of court was a vigilante justice thing, and Gary didn't get charged for anything for that. So I don't know. I think
Luigi Mangione.
Same thing. Well, I know he's dealing with that situation right now too.
Yeah, that's going on in court, but like that is definitely like a vigilante activity.
But on a personal note, like he's getting his own justice out of it. So. Right.
Well, I mean, there's also like a difference between vigilante justice where you still try to follow some of the laws. Like you brought up Batman. Batman is like, well, I'm not going to kill anybody. Sometimes. Depends on which comic.
I think that's just given so people will kind of have something to relate to. Otherwise, he's just a horrible
Not
person.
Just that, though, but also the all the villains that do know him, his identity, like kill other people that want to like disclose it. Basically, like Two-Face runs a whole racket, like saying like if he is revealed that he's Bruce Wayne, he has nothing to lose, and then we're all
screwed. Yeah. But like in a philosophy of justice, or a philosophy of law situation, how do you account for things like mob justice or individual vigilante?
Okay. A mafia tends to only arise in a situation where the structure of law is broken down to the point where the gen pop cannot trust them or rely on them. Right? That's what happened in Northern Ireland during the war. The police was basically the English army. And Catholics and Irish people who identified as Irish, found it difficult to go to the British Army with their policing issues. So instead they went to the IRA, who are running basically a mafia racket around this. And the same thing happened in parts of New York when the Italian mafia took over. Like, a mafia can't really do anything in a society where the police does their job or where there is a reasonable expectation of justice on the part of the population.
Right.
Or law and order, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know what the hell is going on in southern Italy or Sicily, how things could have broken down so badly that the mafia kicked off in such a massive way, but something got fucked in that place, where people couldn't just rely on the civil service must have broken down at some point, the entire structure of society. You know?
With a mob situation, the mob sort of turns into the law, right?
Yeah, they have to. Like, if a guy comes to you and says, oh, that's a nice display there, to be ashamed if something happened to it, right? And he breaks it. So if you give me $200 a week, we'll protection, right? A protection racket.
Right.
But I'll tell you this for the mafia, if something happens to my shop, they'll fucking fix it.
Right.
They will earn their $200 a week. And I'm thinking, like, at some point you kind of have, if you're in a place where the police will not do that, then why not give them $200 a week?
Yeah, like, you're paying that to your insurance company anyway.
Yeah. And then they own you. You find yourself having to do favors for them, whatever. But fine. I'm in the mafia now. Big deal. Like, your police wouldn't.
What are the police are going to come after me? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to. What we know about the police is that they're inefficient. So, like, I'm not really worried about that.
Valid.
It's not as prevalent, but there's still a lot of that going on in Chicago still too. So.
There's a couple of places around here that
black markets. That's true, yeah.
Not in the city that I'm currently living in, but in cities that I've lived in that are not like that are in this kind of area. There's a lot of like old retired, old mafia money, and it's pretty crazy. And some of the things that and like some of the shops that pop up that are like that's just money laundering. Everybody knows.
Yeah, no. There's one restaurant in my city that like you can tell that they just made that for grandma to do her hobby basically, but there's other shit going on.
Oh like, yeah.
And it's the best food ever, so like no one's gonna complain about it. So
that's the other thing too.
I saw this guy on Reddit and he said somebody asked what's the best something you ever had, and he said I went into this little pizza place once and I ordered a pizza and they looked confused and they didn't know what to do, and he said eventually this old lady came in and she made a pizza. He said it's the best pizza I've ever had. They refused to take any payment for it. And then I left. And when I went back to the place and brought some friends back a few days later, it was gone. The whole place was gone. I said, my friend, what you have happened upon there is a money laundering operation. That's what my brother in Christ. So, yeah. But Smitty there said it's not just about a breakdown in law and order, and he's right. I guess this is kind of a function. Right. He said it's about black markets as well. So if you have something like, and I watch an Italian show called Gomorrah is really good at pointing this out because they deal with heroin imports and so on, and cocaine. And if you've decided cocaine is illegal and a bunch of people are willing to pay for it, then the mafia will do that. And that's not really about a breakdown in society. That's about an inefficient government approach to drugs.
Right, which is still a matter of the police being inefficient because the police are doing something that the society doesn't want the police to be doing in an ineffective way. So it's like it's within extra steps, but yeah. Yeah,
and of course the sensible approach to heroin is legalize it tomorrow.
It's one of the reasons why the mob was so big during Prohibition. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you can absolutely neutralize any heroin gangs by legalizing heroin tomorrow, and all drug-related crime would be gone in one afternoon. And the trials they've run in places like Zurich and Lisbon demonstrate that whatever you're afraid of is going to happen doesn't happen.
There's also steps that you can take that you don't have to like snap your fingers and then turn everything legal all of a sudden. You start by decriminalizing it so that you can manage it in a way. And those are sorts of some of the things that I mean when I say the government has to control the populace. You don't just snap your fingers and change a law. You ease people in or out of things so you don't just cause chaos.
In Zurich and Lisbon, they went further than legalizing it. They actually gave free heroin to anybody who wanted it, paid for by the government.
We do that in Canada.
And that worked out way better than jailing people who are drug addicts.
Yeah, we have.
And it actually reduces usage. Yep. It reduces usage because suddenly, instead of being a drug addict, you are now a patient under a treatment program. Yep. And that's just a whole different psychology than running around cars trying to rob places and so on, right? It's a whole different psychology. You get all the free junk you want, but suddenly you're kind of thinking, I'm a patient. I want to get better.
Right. Yeah.
They don't
changes
frame
the mentality of the.
Don't frame it like that for the junkies.
Yeah, it's like. Well, I think we've talked about this before when we've talked about personal philosophy like a year ago. We talked about like the philosophy of self and how the way society views you can seriously damage or will change the way you view yourself drastically. And if you want if you want a really brief example, and definitely just go watch that video. If you want a really brief example, be somebody and travel anywhere else that is as different from the country you're from as you can possibly get. Yeah. And see the way you are, and like just live there for like a month. And
you
just
don't even have to do that.
No, you don't have to. I'm just giving an example.
In my country, we have. Do you know what travelers are? They're like, I hesitate to use the word, but they're like gypsies, right? But they're native.
Oh, they're like nomads. They're nomadic.
Nomads.
Yeah, they're like Romas, but they're native to Ireland. They're Irish people. They're not like from anywhere else. They're Irish people. And oh boy, how we treat those people.
Right.
Makes me think, why would they ever want to obey any of our laws? Why would they ever want to do the right thing if we treat them like absolute shit, which we do, all of us?
Valid.
It's always a common thing in every society where something doesn't assimilate to it, you know?
Right.
Yeah. These don't assimilate. Like, they're absolute cowboys. But they're not like viciously cruel or anything. You know, the way we talk about them is as if they're like all criminals and they're all this and they're all that. Now, some of them, of course, are involved in some sort of shady business. Like there's a group I know of who are involved in the illicit drug trade. That's all I'm allowed to say. But most of them are grand. Like, they're just trying to live their lives, and society is shitting on them. You know, without even knowing anything about them, you can tell that they're visible, right? If travelers are generally, you can spot them, what they look like, right?
Yeah.
It's because of how they dress or whatever. I don't want to get racist, but that's basically, you can spot them. And when you see a traveler, like, our reaction is like, oh, that's a traveler. This is a negative thing. Before you know anything at all about them, it's insane, you know?
And like, why is that the reaction? Yeah.
Yeah, why is that the reaction?
Mexico also deals with an Aboriginal group that travels up and down like a certain section of it. Like, you know, they just walk, you know, that's where they live, is through by nomadic travel. So, and
this is why I think racism should be allowed in Dungeons and Dragons and your TTRPG table. I think that you should be allowed to play whatever you want as long as you're not shitting on the other people at the table, and figure it out and get to sort of, in a safe space, experience shit you would never experience.
Yes,
it's a safe space that doesn't harm anybody. Now, if you're doing your TTRPG as a show that you are then sending out and distributing to people, that's different.
Yeah.
But experience stuff. Play a gender bend. Play a different character. Play a trans character. Play a black character if you have black people. I don't know why you would have black people racism in your D&D campaign. There's too many, like...
there's other reasons.
It's just, like, it doesn't really make any sense for humans to be shitty to each other based on their skin color when there's so many other things to be shitty towards. Some of things are actually just evil little critters. So it's like...
There's the drow, the evil elves.
Yeah, the drow exists. I guess that is black people racism.
Yeah, it's a little bit racist, yeah.
Yeah, but like, I think these are things that you can experience in I'm being a little bit flippant because obviously don't be racist at your fucking table.
No.
But yeah, and like, obviously you have to okay it with the other people that are there and make sure that it is in fact a safe space.
I mean, usually NPCs can be that, you know.
If it's a load of black people playing it and I'm the only white guy and I want to play a black character.
Dude, if you okay it with the other people at the table, I don't see why not.
They would probably love it.
Oh yeah, they're your friends. Why wouldn't they love that? That's hilarious.
Oh, I'm gonna get shot dead.
I had one person. I had one person drop the N-word at my home game table one time, and I was like, "Excuse me?" And one of the players is a black guy, and the black guy was like. And I stepped in. I was like, I looked at him first to be like, do you have a friendship with this person that I am not aware of before I shit down this guy's throat? And then I proceeded to do that. He never did it again.
Ain't even about that. Ain't even like, step off my grill, dog.
Yeah, no, I was not having any of that shit. That guy doesn't play with us anymore. I have finished Sock for 2 said, don't be a mafioso, like and share instead. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, guys. Greatly appreciated. But anyway, I just threw that in as like a screwball.
I I mean, we can also explore other, legal systems through TTRPGs too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I was listening to Chris Shelton and his friend the other day talking about how like the bureaucracy in Scientology and how it's built as like an ass backwards Ouroboros that's meant to fail.
Oh yeah.
And I was listening to that and I was just like, this is how hell works.
How is it sustainable? Like, how are they not starving to death?
They are. It's not sustainable.
How are they not starving themselves inside that, like, those like, I don't know what the buildings, I guess.
Yeah, they kind
complex.
of are in some of those places. Yeah, they're living off of like bare bones nothing. It's bad. Yeah, I'll send you the video so you can take a look at it. If the police weren't racist, weren't just generally bigoted and classist, and actually competent, people would like them more. Yeah. Yeah, if you're not a piece of shit to society, society tends to accept you a little bit more when you're in a position of authority.
You have an illustrated comedy, Divine Comedy.
That's really
Does it have all three?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Does it have all three?
Ooh.
Yes. It's illustrated by Gustav Moore. They're woodcuts, they're not even paintings.
Oh,
That's so cool.
Oh, it's beautiful, yeah. Unfortunately, the translation isn't fantastic, but look, that's someone else's problem, isn't it?
Unlucky.
Yeah, so I tried this instead. Don't like that one either.
no.
Yeah,
Effort's continuing to
Dark
find
Sun.
a translation that I like.
I think these kinds of things being so like sexism, racism, bigotry getting downplayed in media is leading us in the wrong direction.
What do
either-
you mean downplayed?
So, for example, when Avatar: The Last Airbender TV show came out, they skipped a lot of Sokka's character development because he starts off by being
I don't know anything about anime.
Yeah, I'll explain. He's a character who starts off as sort of like from a patriarchal society that has like he's a bit of a dick to his sister. His sister cleans his socks. She has a role in the society to play, and he's got the role of I've got to be the hunter and the protector role. And so he starts. One of the first places they go is like episode 3 is a place called Kyoshi Island, which has an elder man, but has a society of warrior women who kick the fucking shit out of him.
Sounds funny,
so
but amusing.
as soon as he takes one step out of his bubble of a society, he immediately gets dunked on. And then at the end of that season, they go from the South Pole to the North Pole. When they get to the North Pole, the same patriarchal society pressures exist, but they're a little bit more extreme and they're more strict because their society is larger. And so he gets to witness this girl that he ends up having a crush on, dealing with those pressures of having to get married to somebody she doesn't like. He says his sister, who's a badass fighter, being told she's not allowed to fight and has to do healing and can't do X, Y, and Z. And like the old guy is like trying to beat her into submission, and Sokka gets to witness all of this and change as a character over time. They removed all of that from a re-release that they did of a live-action version.
Okay. Does he learn from that though?
Oh yeah, no. He learns fast. Every time Sokka does something like bigoted or like says something stupid or sexist, the show punishes him for it until he learns better, right? And so like that's why it's not bad to have bigotry in your show, as long as you present it properly and it is handled correctly. Like, don't just be a bigot in your show, right? Like, don't just have that and have that be rewarded. When it is punished and handled and learned from as a character, it's
you have to be careful because I've seen in the late 90s there was 3 movies called American Psycho, Starship Troopers, and Fight Club, and they all came out around the same time, around the late 90s, right? I remember seeing them, and all 3 movies have recently. I've seen people unironically take them seriously. They say American Psycho is glorifying macho values. They say Fight Club is this macho thing, and Starship Troopers is glorifying Nazi whatever, right? American Psycho, the script was written by a woman, the movie was directed by a woman, and it was written by a gay guy. So good luck with that. Fight Club, it does everything it can to try and explain to you that this is not a glorification thing. This is a desperation thing, and that was also written by a gay guy, the book. And Starship Troopers, Verhoeven couldn't believe or understand how anybody could take that seriously.
Yeah, there has been. I've had conversations about this before that media literacy is fucking dead to some degree.
It's
Where
just amazing to me. I've seen.
don't fucking.
Do you know Rebecca Solnit? She was writing in some literature site, and she was saying, "Oh, if you like Lolita, it's a bad sign of you. It means
Oh,
you're
yeah.
this and you're that." Like, oh, fuck me. Like, do you think people who like that book are identifying? You can have a main character who's not a good person. You can
Yes.
have a main character who's a complete shit and
And
still
learn from
enjoy the
that.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like no one's saying, "Oh wow, I wish I could bang 12-year-olds." Like that's not the.
You
No one's saying
can't.
that in the book.
You can't judge it. You have to judge a book by its context and content,
Yeah.
not by a flippant understanding of one character. Like that's just not how books are written.
He keeps signaling throughout the text that you're not supposed to identify with this guy. He's a lying shitbag.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
the big thing he tells you is in the middle of it. There's a guy called Claire Quilty who's a rival paedophile who's also trying to bang this little girl, and the language he uses to describe Claire Quilty's attempts to bang this little girl are exactly the same things that apply to him.
Right. Yeah.
But he doesn't see it that way.
Right.
He thinks
Yes,
he's
of
the
course he
good guy
does.
in this story because he's writing the story.
Right.
But how more clearly could you signal like what you're supposed to do than putting a kind of a double character of this character and then shitting on him constantly? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
mirror.
what else do you want him to do? The guy's a genius. Nabokov is a genius. What do you want him to do? Point a big neon sign at it? Man, ain't going to go down like that. Step off
You need
my grill,
you need
dog.
a thing at the beginning, like a censored thing at the beginning that says you're not supposed to fucking like this guy.
Well,
I
that's
guess
why I was surprised at Rebecca Solnit because I found her essays about literature and so on that site useful and interesting and intelligent.
It just goes to
And it
show
just
you that
worked out.
everybody not everybody's gonna get it right every single time, and also everybody's got their blind spots and like their triggers.
Well, she said she opens the article by saying she's sick of listening to college boys tell her that she should like Lolita. I guess that was her opening argument. I think, okay, well then maybe what's happening here is you're subject to wankers. That's a different issue, I guess.
Hi, welcome to All Women Ever, always.
Maybe
So-
I don't know, but I didn't like it.
I guess we could tie this back to some things. Like we notice,
Yeah,
like I
please
guess
do.
imagine like
Thank you.
we read like example like Paradise Lost. We're reading it completely different than when it was like intended for. Probably there's no way that we
Oh,
have.
John Milton did not
Like-
want us to think of Satan as the good guy.
Yeah.
He paints him in those ways because he wants us to see Satan as the bad guy. But everybody reading it now is like, yeah, good man, rebellion.
Yeah.
You take individualistic kind of libertarian values. Yeah, you go, guy. And like, no, he's supposed to be this evil monster. But because Milton is such a great poet, you're kind of thinking, oh, I kind of like this Satan guy, There to dwell in adamantine chains and bottomless perdition, right?
To tie that back to law, like there's like
Thank you.
piles and piles of law that we've built across, and like some of the old stuff, the old ones that were written first, like are completely not what we can deal with now. Because
Well, that's why it's an
We're-
entire study is like interpreting the Constitution is a whole ass fucking field of study in the United States.
They're making new laws
case
all
law.
the time.
Holy shit,
Case law.
case law.
Case law.
Case law saves a lot of people's lives, though. So,
Yes, it does. But goddamn, it's freaking the work that goes into that shit is crazy. But yeah, there's like the way you interpret the law or the way you interpret a character or the way you explore these things is very much going to depend on what your views are going in and then whether or not your views have changed coming out.
I guess, yeah.
And how open you are to, like, how malleable are you? And how malleable are your preconceived notions? Like, prejudice is a killer. Prejudice is so bad.
And if it's done properly, you won't even know you have it.
no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, also, I want to say there's a character called My Unfinished Journey in the chat.
Yeah.
And My Unfinished Journey put a link to this show on the Twitter.
Oh, thank you so much.
I
Mhm.
just want to say thank you
No,
very much. That's
Vanya,
all.
Vanya does that.
Yeah, they're a gem. My Unfinished Journey
But I
does
would
it for
go-
so fucking many channels. They're amazing.
Yeah.
You didn't know I'm a fan of pickles? My sister gave me this shirt for Christmas.
Aw,
It's got more pickles on the back. Pickle
there
jar.
you go.
So many
Pickle
pickles.
Palooza.
Have you
I
had
love
pickle
pickles.
flavored beer?
Oh God,
Have you had it? You gotta have it.
I gotta have it.
Yeah.
she's gotta have it.
Gotta have it. Is it legal?
Okay.
Well, that's the other thing
Should it
too
be?
that we should probably.
Should it be?
Yeah. Okay. One thing that we should mention, just as like a side note here, as we wrap up, legal and moral are two different things.
Yes.
What is legally allowed by law is not inherently the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. It is simply what the law is and what society has agreed upon at the time of the writing of said law. Some rules that are subject to change.
It's also, the law tends to deal with measurable things as well. There's a lot of morality that doesn't take account of whether or not you can measure. Like, if you want to take defamation case against somebody in Ireland, you have to demonstrate measurable harm committed, right?
Yeah.
The law. But like, morally, you can defame somebody without ever bothering with any of that.
Oh yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Mhm.
Do you guys have any last words about this?
No, I think we did what we could. So
I think we're good
Good
for
job.
justice. I think we've covered this.
Yeah, I think we're good. So thank you very much for joining me, everybody. Thanks, Zell. Zell added another super chat for 5 with a popcorn emoji. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciated, guys. Make sure you come back for Monday. So subscribe because Monday's going to be a crazy conversation. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Dapper and Chris Shelton in a room together.
no.
This is gonna be a this is gonna be a stream. It's gonna be a stream and a half.
I'll bring the
I have to.
disinfectant.
Sorry.
I'll bring the disinfectant.
Oh yeah, please do. I'm not gonna survive. Like they're gonna be up there talking, and I'm just gonna sink lower and lower into my chair, being like, I'm not participating in this conversation anymore. You guys are on something somewhere on another planet. I don't know what's happening. But
Are they gonna go into what they believe also, and that's what's driving everything? Like
Yeah.
that would be
They're gonna talk about what they think is the driving
the
factor
metaphysics.
for
Yeah, the metaphysics
yeah.
of science.
It's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get crazy up in the shiz. It's also rum and coke on Sunday, on Saturday, next Saturday. So if anybody wants to come for that, I'll be live on my own channel doing goobery bullshit. Consider becoming a member. It's not expensive. You can become a master debater yourself if you would like.
There you go.
Become a member.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. Go find these guys at their links down below. And Barry, if you don't mind getting me the titles of the books and the authors, and I will copy and paste that into the fucking thing so you guys can go find those at your local library and support your local library. Goodbye, everybody.
Right.
Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.
Do, 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 do. Okay.